Okay, today we're going to read John chapter 2. Now, yesterday we saw chapter 1 in the Gospel of John, where Jesus was introduced to us. And in this chapter, we're going to see his very first miracle. And I think this miracle is important because it shows us what he came for. So let's take a look. It says the next day there was a wedding celebration in the village of Cana in Galilee. And Jesus' mother was there, and Jesus and his disciples were also invited to the party. And so the wine supply ran out during the festivities. And so Jesus' mother told him, "We have no more wine." Now you can read this for yourself, but it says in verse 11, this was the first miraculous sign that Jesus had ever performed to reveal his glory. In other words, to show what he came for. Now, here's what the miracle was, if you don't know it. The miracle was he turned water into wine. Now, here's why that's significant, is because I think that indicates the reason that Jesus came. Think about it like this. Wine represents joy and gladness and celebration. And Jesus came to turn water into wine. So what he did is he took these pots that were used for ceremonial cleansing. So they had purified water in them, and that's the water that he turned into wine. And I've always taken this to mean that he's more interested in bringing real life to us than he is in bringing religion to us. Now, that doesn't mean that he doesn't care about the Ten Commandments. That doesn't mean he doesn't care about rules. That doesn't mean he doesn't care about obedience. Don't misunderstand it. But this is important in a biblical worldview. A biblical worldview is all about loving God and loving people and having real, genuine relationships, which leads to real, genuine purpose and real, genuine freedom and real, genuine joy. And that's why I think this was his first miraculous sign. You know, Moses turned water into blood for his first miracle, which represents the judgment of God. But Jesus turned water into wine, which represents joy and freedom and light and life, which is exactly what Jesus came to bring. So as you continue in this grid series, you're going to learn more about that at the heart of a biblical worldview, that Jesus is the one who brings that to us. Now let's scroll a little bit further down, and he says in verse 19, Jesus said, "Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up." Now, he's not actually talking about the physical temple in Jerusalem where all the rituals and ceremonies for the Jews were performed. He's actually talking about his body. And when Jesus went to the cross, he went to the cross to die for us. And then when he rose from the dead 3 days later, which is what he's talking about here, all of that was so that we could have this life and joy and freedom that Jesus is referring to. Now again, I'll give you more information on that below this video, and we're certainly going to talk about that in the discussion video tomorrow. But let's just take a look at the bottom of this passage before we're done. It says, because of the miraculous signs Jesus did in Jerusalem at the Passover celebration, many began to trust in him. But it says in verse 24, but Jesus didn't trust them because he knew about all people. Verse 25, here's the key verse. No one needed to tell Jesus about human nature, for he knew what was in each person's heart. And we're going to talk more about this tomorrow, because we're going to get into this idea that having a biblical worldview really isn't possible unless we're changed people. Following Jesus isn't about following some sort of moral code. Following Jesus is about having a relationship that changes us from the inside out, because Jesus knew about our human nature. We're all broken. We're all sinful. We all want to be me first. But Jesus wants us to put God first and then others second. And he wants us to put ourselves third. But the only way we can do this is if we come to this defining moment of faith. And that's what we're going to be talking about in tomorrow's discussion video. But anyway, for right now, you're ready to read John chapter 2, and we'll see you tomorrow for that important next conversation.